This is who we are. 5 minutes of Marquette County history. Today, let's talk about the county jail. As early as 1847, the Marquette County Board minutes show that taxes were paying for law enforcement using constables. Some examples in 1849 show that they paid $33.39 to a D.A. Phelps for arresting a prisoner out of the county. They also told law enforcement that no bill would be paid unless the prosecution was successful for breach of peace. In 1851, a resolution was passed to appropriate $1,000 for the building of a jail in Marquette. Note that the committee work of the county board goes back to 1851 with a poor accounts committee and a justice and constable committee. The map shows the boundaries of Marquette County at the time. The red circle shows the location of the county seat in Marquette where the jail was built. That's the village of Marquette today on Apakawa Lake. This is a photo of the village of Marquette. We don't know exactly where the jail was located. Marquette was considered for the capital of Wisconsin and lost to Madison by 36 votes. While the jail was still in the county seat of Marquette, minutes reflect that law enforcement was a vital part of the county board business. Justice and Constables Committee was made up of 3 people. You can read some of the expenses that they approved on this slide. In 1859, the sheriff submitted an account of $500. Then they passed a resolution that law enforcement had to pay their own accounts first, then submit them to the county board. The village of Marquette remained the county seat of Marquette County until 1858. On June 1st of that year, residents of the 25 towns that formed the existing county of Marquette voted on legislation to divide the county. The result was as follows: 1,685 for division and 1,305 against. Marquette County was accordingly divided, and its county seat was moved to Montello. The county seat of the new Green Lake County was established at Dartford, or Green Lake today. Montello was not without competition as the county seat, however. An act was put forward to establish the county seat in Packwaukee, and Harris, what we call Harrisville today, was also a contender. Both sites lost in an election to Montello. And so, with the county seat being officially in Montello, a new jail and sheriff's office was built on what today is Main Street. County offices were also located there and in the adjacent building, like the Register of Deeds and county clerk. This was the jail until 1916, when a new courthouse and jail was built. This insurance map of 1894 shows where the courthouse and jail were located. Then, in 1914-15, a new courthouse and jail was budgeted for $50,000. When completed in October 1916, the new buildings had exceeded the original estimate by $20,000. The jail is in the back of the courthouse with living quarters for the sheriff and his family downstairs and cells both upstairs and down. The wife of the sheriff generally cooked for the inmates. This building and the courthouse were placed on the National Register of Historic Places in 1981. Because of its location that makes it inaccessible today, the Marquette County Historical Society did not object to it being removed due to condition and disuse. It will be torn down soon, so let's learn a little more about what happened in this and the other jail in Marquette County. The sheriff position goes back to 1851. Before that, constables were hired for each township. Sheriff John Jacob Shibley was the sheriff when the first jail was built in Montello. C.J. Chapman was sheriff when the new, now old courthouse was built. The sheriff has always been an elected position. Incarceration in the jail was for many reasons. In 1879, counterfeiters were operating in Packwaukee. In 1907, a woman served 28 days for operating a house of ill repute in Westfield. Thomas O'Connor served 6 terms as sheriff during the years 1883 to 1915. But when he was deputy sheriff, he himself was arrested for biting the ear off of a man from whom he was repossessing some oxen. It's not known if he actually spent any time in jail. The first year, 1916, of the new jail had 10 people being jailed. The offenses included bastardy, illegal fishing, selling or giving liquor, contempt of court, incest, assault and battery, larceny, violating game laws, and insanity. Stays in the jail varied from 1 day to 1 month. It included 1 death in jail, which was the inmate picked up for insanity. The jail regularly housed people who were listed as insane or unable to take care of themselves. They were usually sent to another institution. 3 children were picked up for running away from the Tomah Indian School and were returned there after spending 3 days in the Marquette County Jail in 1919. The boys were 15, 13, and 12 years old. The Tomah Indian School opened in 1893. It was intended to teach Indian children how to shed their cultural background and to become more like white middle-class Americans. The school was criticized for overworking the boys and not giving students enough time in the classroom. In order to visit their parents, they had to prepay their travel expenses both to and from the school. This meant that many of the students could not return home during their breaks. Tomah Indian School was, like other Indian schools of the time, meant to forcefully acculturate Indians into American ways. Children were separated from their families. The schools have a mixed legacy, with horror stories of mistreatment to happy memories held by some who attended. One can only wonder if the young boys were trying to return to their homes. Violation of game laws was a very common charge, and the sheriff must have been kept busy with those violators in Marquette County. In 1926, 5 of the 14 people jailed were in for game laws. All 5 served a month in jail in lieu of fines. Another 5 of the 14 were in for sale or possession of moonshine or other intoxicating liquor. Prohibition from 1920 to 1933 brought about many arrests for possessing intoxicating liquor, hijacking, and violation of prohibition, as well as manufacturing of alcohol. In 1925, 5 of the 7 inmates were in jail for liquor offenses. This also began a chain of multiple arrests for stills operating in the county. In 1928, 2 Crystal Lake farmers were arrested and spent almost 2 months in jail for operating stills. The number of inmates each year rose steadily over time, beginning in the 1920s. On any given day, there could be as many as 8 inmates or no inmates. There were 6 cells in the jail. In 1931, the jail totaled 31 inmates over the year. On occasion, women were housed at the jail. In 1927, 2 waitresses were arrested for what appears to read, suspiciously cohabit and associate together with a John T., who was also arrested for the same. The 2 women served 2 days and 4 days respectively, and John served 3 days and posted $300 bond. In 1931, John Cotter was elected sheriff. He ended up serving 6 terms in all. He moved his family into the accommodations in the jail building. Here he is with son Tom and the first Marquette County police dog, Bodo. We believe this was taken on the porch of the jail. Bodo was a gift from his nephew on the East Coast who purchased the dog in Germany. Sheriff Cotter formed an unusual relationship with inmate Joseph Pape, who was arrested on suspicion of participating in a bank robbery in Montello in 1930. The sheriff would let the detainee's parents come to visit and use the kitchen in the sheriff's home to make him big Italian dinners. He also let Pape, known as Pepe in Chicago, walk his daughter to Mass each morning. He'd return to the jail after Mass. Pape begged Cotter to let him stay in Montello. After spending almost 3 months in jail in Montello, the charges were dropped and he returned to Chicago, where a short time later he was killed after trying to extort money from a restaurant owner. Pape's brother was in jail for participating in killing a police officer, and Pepe, who was said to be a part of a notorious gang, had a long arrest record for misdemeanor crimes. When asked if they were going to arrest the restaurant owner for killing Pape, the arresting officer said, "Certainly not. He did a good job. That fellow Pape should have been shot long ago." Sheriff Cotter, like other sheriffs, appointed and deputized community guards, some during the time Pape was in jail here, because at first it was thought that the Chicago gang might try to break him out of the Marquette County Jail. The men that were deputized were dentists, quarrymen, barbers, undertakers, and other professions. John Cotter tried one more time to get elected sheriff in 1942, but lost to Emil Hallman. In a previous term as sheriff, Hallman had worked with state and federal agents to bust up a giant still operating in the township of Harris. 7 men were arrested for operating this still, and all furnished bond after spending 13 days in the Marquette County Jail. None of them lived in Marquette County. Here is the key to the jail cells at the Marquette County Jail that will soon be torn down. Bud Corning donated it to the Marquette County Historical Society. Bud was the only sheriff that did not live in the jail sheriff's home. He was sheriff from 1969 to 1981. A photo of law enforcement in Marquette County under Sheriff Corning in 1971. Ruth Atkinson had been sheriff herself for 2 terms. She ran when her husband could not because of the rule you could not serve more than 2 consecutive terms. She appointed her husband as undersheriff. He served 6 terms. This was actually a common practice in other counties as well at the time. In 1995, the county began work on a new jail that replaced the historic building still shown here in this photo. The present jail was opened in 1997, and the 1916 jail building was put to other uses. This is just a glimpse at all the history of the jail and sheriff's home that opened in 1916. Come to the courthouse on May 1st at 1 p.m. to hear more stories or to share your own stories before the building is gone forever.